Okay, so this one I'm going to use up. These are older prototypes with the dado, but the dado wasn't deep enough and they're not the 3-inch width. So I'm going to use those up right now. There's some spalted maple, and I have a piece of firewood, 2 pieces of firewood. Let's see, I have 2 options on that firewood. One is I can put them in the wood stove. The other one is I could try to make a MikroRail out of a piece of firewood. Let's just see what happens if I do that. So all of my wood is at least 2 to 3 years air dried. That's the way I do it out in the yard. So this one I am going to put in the wood stove because it's, I don't know, 40 degrees outside and it's kind of rainy and it's really nice to have a fire going. It just takes all the dampness out. But this one, instead of burning it, I'm gonna see if I can make something out of it that could easily be made by anybody that has a shaper or a router or that wants to use some of the other methods that I might cover here. But it's a piece of firewood. Again, a couple years air dried. Let's just see what I can do with that. One of the reasons I grabbed this chunk is because it actually has a fairly straight, that's not straight by most people's, definition, but it's going to be straight enough for me that I can start it on the jointer. Plus I get a little kindling wood out of it too, right? But at least I can start it on the jointer to start to get some of the shape that I'm looking for. But in the meantime, this is one of those projects where I'm just going to put my headphones on, my Bose, sound deadening, and then I'm going to put on some good tunes. And hopefully, if this works out all right, I'm just going to stop in once in a while, slow the camera down, and kind of give you an idea of what I'm doing. But in the meantime, that's the way I like to woodwork, is with headphones on with some good tunes. Because I'm going to do a 2-part epoxy pour on this, I want to have flat edges against each other so that the pour doesn't go through and you just lose all that. So coming back to the joiner. It's now set to 1 inch from the fence. thin up here, so I'm not going to be able to use everything from that point forward. We'll figure it out. Okay, so each of these is at best 18, usable. And so I'm going to go with a 9-inch as the overall finished height of the webs. As I'm working my way now, again, to a point where they're going to start butting up against each other in the MikroRail, because that's going to be the web, and I want it to be somewhat tight to each other. This is where I'm going to work my way back to the jointer again. Just keep on getting a better and better edge there. Okay, I have a jointered edge. You saw me put the chalk on there once I jointered. If there was a little bit of chalk left, then that means it needs another pass. But once I've cleared all the chalk with passes, then I just put a chalk mark on it so I know which end goes up against the fence on my table saw. Because now I'm going to start narrowing things down to much, much closer to perfect edges, you know, okay? So now I'm going to rip those. So these are going to be random width, and so what I'm doing is putting it up against the saw blade. Instead of measuring, again, the edge that goes against the fence has already been run through a jointer, so whatever I cut here, or rip, is going to be a straight parallel to that. So all I'm doing is figuring out exactly where that shortest or narrowest point is. I have not yet cut that's actually got about a 10-degree angle on it. The other end is rough sawn, but that's where I want to go next with this. So these are the two pieces that are too thin at the end. So I'm only going to be able to get a 9-inch out of them. So I'm going to cut it at about 10-inch first, and then I'm going to maybe 9.5. And then once I do that, then I'll cut the end off here, or other way around. Again, if you're doing small pieces like this, if you just keep that blade down there until it's totally done rotating, then you won't have that piece fly on you. Then when you lift up, she just kind of lays in there, throw her away. Now I've got my 9 inches. So it will still end up as firewood, but, well, kindling, I guess. Again, see how that thing just sits there? That's because I'm not lifting the blade. Same process for both of these guys. Again, this last cut here, that was cut with a chainsaw, and when I took the tree down, so we definitely get that straightened out, right? Because that's going to be our tongue. So I'm doing an initial cut, then I measure to 9, and then I do my second cut, always with the jointed edge against the fence, because that's the blue chalk. That's why I use the blue chalk on her. Any color is fine. Don't know if you caught it, but I didn't flip it. I spun it, again, to keep that jointed edge against the fence. Doesn't get too much closer than this. I'm just going to make the 9-inch. There's my scrap.